sutang ekang samayang bhagava Savantiyang viharati jetavane anatha pindikansa arame Atko anyatara devata abhinkantaya rantiya abhinkantavanna Kevalakampang jetavanang obasenva Yena bhagavate nupasankami Upasankaminva bhagavantang abhivadenva Ekamantang antasi Ekamantang titakosa devata Bhagavantang gataya anjabasi Bahudeva manunsaca mangalani acintayung Akangkamana suntanang rohi mangalamuntamang Asivanaca balanang panditanang ca sevana Puja ca pujaniyanang itang mangalamuntamang Atirupadesavasoca pumbija kata punyata Anta samma panidija etang mangalamuntamang Bahu sancanca simpanca vinayoca susinkito Subhasita jaya vaca itang mangala
Good morning, Namo Buddhaya. Happy to see all of you again on another Sunday Facebook Live. Again, I wish to remind is that make sure you have good Wi-Fi. Poor Wi-Fi at your home will have poor audio or visual. During the online Buddha Puja service, remember to have a calm mind, even if you are encountering the Wi-Fi problem. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Welcome to SJBA 52nd online Sunday Buddha Puja service. And we have been organizing this weekly online Puja service is to give an opportunity to the devotees near and far to continue with our practices and the opportunity to listen Dhamma in your home and hopefully sharing the Dhamma with your family and friends. Let us prepare ourselves by sitting comfortably, relax our bodies and compose our mind. Let go of thinking about the past and future. Be at the present moment. Please continue to give a like and wish each other in the comment box. I shall hand over to our Puja leader, Sister Anne. Over to you, Sister Anne.
Thank you, Brother Chuan. Good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Namo Buddhaya. Let us begin with our Sunday Buddha Puja. May we invite Brother Jim to make the offerings to the Buddha. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, if you have prepared the offerings, you may light your candles or oil lamps and make your offerings too. To the other devotees, let us place our palms together in Anjali and contemplate mindfully. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us pay homage to the Tripuja. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, let us together take refuge in the Tripuja and observe the 5 precepts. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Pancasila. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kami sumiccacara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya Majjapama Dattana Veramani Sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Imani pancha sikkhapadani samadhiyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddhanusati. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasarati satta deva manusana buddho bhagavati. Dhammanusati. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditiko akaliko ehipassiko oppanayiko pacchattam veditabbu vinyuhiti. Sanghanusati. Supatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Ujupatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Nyayapatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho Samicipatipanno bhagavato sāvaka sangho. Jatidang chattari purisa yugani atta purisa pukkala esa bhagavato sāvaka sangho ahuneyo pahuneyo dakhineyo anjali karaniyo anuttaram punyakaitam lokasati. Vandami cetiyang sabbang sabbatane supatititam saririkadatu mahabodhi buddha rupang sakalam sada. Bodhi Vandana. Yassa mule nisinova sabbari vicayang aka Pato sabbanyo tang satta vande tang bodhipadapam. Ime ete mahabodhi lokanatena pujita ahampite namassami bodhi raja namattute. Ganasara paditena dipena tamadansina tiloka dipang sambuddhang pujayami tamodutang. Ganda sambara yuttena duppenahang sugandhina pujaye pujaniyam tang puja bhajana muttamam. Vanna ganda gunopetang etang kusuma santating pujayami munindas siripada saruruhe. Pujemi buddhang kusumena nena punyena metena chahotu mokkang Pangmilayati yata idang me kayo tatayati vinnasabhavang Adivasettu no bante paniyang parikapitang anukampang upadaya patiganhatu muttamang Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang Achayang kamame bante puripanya tathagata Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang Achayang kamame dhamma sandittika akalika Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang Achayang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yeah. Namo Buddhaya, brothers and sisters in the Dharma. This morning, we are very pleased to have Brother Tan Sang Chai once again to be with us in our Sunday Buddha Puja. Brother Sang Chai will be giving a Dharma talk with the title, Living Deeply Through Adversity. Please allow me to introduce Brother Tan Sang Chai. Brother Sang Chai began his former Buddhist education in the Buddhist Institute Sunday Dharma School, Brickfield, Kuala Lumpur. Among his early teachers were the late Venerable Dr. K. Sri Ramananda and Venerable Gunaratana. He joined the Buddhist Missionary Youth Section at the Buddhist Mahavihara after completing his tertiary studies and served as a vice chairman and then a chairman. He also served as an ESCO in the parent body, BMS Malaysia. He's active in sharing the Dharma at the various Buddhist centers in Malaysia and Singapore, and is also a striving meditator. Brother Sang Chai was the Dharma subcommittee chairman of a Subang Jaya Buddhist Association while serving in the ESCO and was later appointed its lay advisor. Currently, he is a director of Nalanda Institute, the education arm of Nalanda Buddhist Society. Brother Sang Chai's talk centered around daily practice of the Dharma and how it transforms individuals. He feels it's important to understand the essential teachings of the Buddha as it gives Buddhists a strong foundation of the knowledge which prevent them from wrong interpretation and practice of the Dharma. Brothers and sisters in the Dharma, if you have any questions pertaining to this talk, you may type your questions in the comment section. We shall then read the questions after the Dharma talk for an answer from Brother Sang Chai. And please take note that we may not be able to answer all your questions due to time constraints, in which case we ask for your understanding and forgiveness. Brothers and sisters in the Dharma, we are pleased to now invite Brother Sang Chai to share the Dharma talk with us with the title, Living Deeply Through Adversity. Brother Sang Chai.
Good morning, dear Dhamma brothers and sisters out there. And a special welcome to you if you are not within Malaysia. Thank you for tuning in to our Sunday morning service, Puja, and the talk. Today, today's talk is in some ways a continuation of the talk that I did last month about living deeply. But now it has a special a special aspect to it, in that we are looking at how we should live deeply through the times of adversity. And we are living through some very, very difficult times. These are adverse times currently. And it has been so ever since the World Health Organization declared a pandemic that is existing in many, many parts of the world. In fact, I don't think there are any countries or developed countries that have been spared the deadly effects of this coronavirus. So ever since the middle of last year, around June, I have been asked to share some of my thoughts on how do Buddhists specifically and human beings in general, how do they get through the hard times? How do they live a life which is as normal as possible, and steer themselves away from the unwholesome mental effects that arise in them every day, because they have to be aware of the effects of this virus, of this pandemic, COVID-19, which I have taken away people that are close to us, the people that we know. It is not something which is abstract, it is hidden away. But there are people within, our social circles, that have died, lost their lives because of their exposure to this virus. So today, what I'd like to do is, for the past year, I have been reflecting on the question of how do we live through it in a way that doesn't impact us, disturb us, affect our minds in a negative way. How do we live as close a wholesome and balanced life as possible during such times? And I have been reading and doing research. I have been invited to give talks on it. In fact, I shared my thoughts at 2 inter-religious discussions, where people from other religions, not just Buddhism, were invited to say how their religion supports the followers during such times. So after doing a lot of thinking, a lot of reflection, I would like to share my thoughts with you, in the light also of how do we live deeply. Meaning to say, we don't just live. We don't just wake up in the morning and get through the day. How do we actually engage with the life that we have from the morning until the night when we go to bed? We sleep for the night. So can we start the slide presentation, please? No, okay, right. Yes, all right. So in our lives, there is unavoidable reality. Meaning to say, there are things and there are circumstances which we cannot escape. We live life with a balance of the pleasant and the unpleasant. And there are times when they are more pleasant than unpleasant. And there are some people now who get sick. It's very unpleasant for them at the moment as they try to get through the infection by the COVID virus. So an unavoidable reality in our life is that there are many challenges facing us. So if it is not this, it is that. And we can see that all this put together tells us that there is suffering in life. It is not something we can avoid. Sooner or later, we will encounter suffering in different stages. Sometimes in very small, as a small experience, but sometimes as a very, very painful, very difficult experience. So in life, it is like that. There are no religions that teach us that life is wonderful here on this earth. In fact, all religions say that there is a kind of suffering, and there's something missing in our lives, and that is the purpose of religion, is to actually point you towards the way to real happiness. So, in understanding suffering in the Buddhist context, how did the Buddha describe suffering? How did the Buddha put it as an experience in our life so that we might understand it? Many people say Buddhists talk very often about suffering. All the time they talk about suffering. They are really pessimistic people. But in actual fact, because we understand suffering, Buddhists are among the happiest people in the world. So it is something very baffling, something which people who study the minds of Buddhists, they sometimes cannot understand. Why is it that we talk so much about suffering and yet our minds are free from suffering? So this is important for us as Buddhists to learn, to pick it up, and to practice. Next, please. So let us understand suffering or dukkha. We have expectation and we have what is real. The font has... so that, because the font is not behaving in the way that I plan for it to behave, there is suffering. So the word is expectation. This is how it goes. We have our expectations. Our expectations are in our minds. And then we have what is the reality of the situation. This is how human beings look at the world. We want things to be a certain way. And when it is not a certain way, according to the reality, the real situation out there, there is. So that gap is called suffering. That's how we should understand it. It's very plain and simple. It's not the suffering that many people say is the painful suffering of disease, of being tortured, etc. So in our lives, there is this dukkha. This is the original Pali word, dukkha. So when there is a higher expectation and the reality is further away, we have more suffering. But when the reality is far away from what we are expecting, there is big suffering, as in the third column. So the suffering, the dukkha, the unhappiness, can appear from small things. For example, we want our coffee to be hot, and the coffee is only little bit hot, lukewarm. That gives us an unpleasant state of mind. That also can be termed as suffering. And then when we want to escape, we want this pandemic to go away as much as possible so that we can live our normal lives, and it doesn't. Month after month, year after year, this pandemic is still with us. The suffering really grows. And when people tell us, don't worry, the health authorities, we are trying to control the situation, and the situation does not get better, of course, there is more suffering in our minds. So bearing this in mind, we can understand the context, the situation why so many people are facing anxiety, worry, depression in their lives. It's because things are not changing, things are not behaving according to what they want. So in life, even for ourselves, we must see it like that. Yeah, if our loved ones don't behave the way we want them to, we experience this dukkha, this suffering. If we are not able to earn as much as we want to earn, yeah, we are not getting the full value of how good we think we are, there is also suffering. So we have to understand this because it appears in our minds. And because it appears in our minds, it can be very subtle. But knowing this, knowing that there is expectation, there is reality, and that gap is the experience of suffering, will at least lay some groundwork. Yeah, it lays the foundation for us to look out at suffering and how we can maintain our calm and happy mind throughout the suffering. So, next, please. Next slide. We know this is a situation, as you can see from this article in the Star newspaper. Yeah, the government is preparing to cope with more mental health cases during the COVID-19 pandemic. And so people who are not physically sick, they don't have this virus in them. Yeah, they are still very, very uncomfortable, and they have a lot of worry and anxiety. And worry and anxiety eventually will lead to more negative states of mind and bring about depression. And when depression happens, human beings can take very drastic action. Yeah, we have been told also by the authorities that many people now are taking their lives. Yeah, they are ending their lives because they cannot see their way out of their suffering. Therefore, they prefer to commit suicide. And the figures are something like from January to May, there's about 4 people a day are taking their lives every day. 4 people every day are ending their lives due to the difficulty that they are facing during this pandemic. Next, please. So this is what I would like to share. There are 5 principles or 5 ways, you can call them strategies, that we can anchor our lives to our existence, and in this way change the way that we are looking at things to become more resilient. Some of these are not purely Buddhist principles, but because they are wholesome, they are very, very good. I would like to share them with you. They are not taught directly by the Buddha, but when you look at the life of the Buddha, you know that he practices these things. Although he doesn't explicitly, directly tell us to practice some of these. Yeah, it is shown by way of behavior in the lives of the Buddha and the Buddha's disciples when he was alive. And even today, you can see many of the disciples, monks and nuns, and lay disciples, not just the renounced people who are putting this into practice so that their lives can be more optimistic, and they can be of better service to the community. I always stress that the community is a very important part of our existence with society. Society is the larger entity, but the community is where we interact with each other. It is a smaller group, but it's more relevant, more connected to how we want to live the life that we expect. This word, we expect to live life in a certain way. And so the community that surrounds us helps with those expectations. So let us take a look at these 5 ways to build up resilience and to make our lives more happy, and so that we can live life more deeply. The first is to give purpose to our life and to give ourselves a reason for being. Then the next is to accept the constant change, which is as inevitable as the weather, as how the weather changes. You get sunshine, then suddenly you get a downpour, you get the rain. Then we must settle securely in the present moment. Yeah, and this is a carryover from the last sharing I did. How do we live really, in the moment, deeply in our lives? How do we live full lives, not just half a life or a quarter of a life, where we are distancing ourselves from what is happening in our life? How do we live it fully and deeply? Then how do we view the world with eyes of gratitude? How does this help us? How does it make our minds more positive? This is what we are going to discuss. And then how do we fall back on ourselves? Can we really fall back on ourselves? That means, can we really support? Can one support oneself? Is it practical? We are going to talk about this. So after looking over and also sharing with many other people, doing talks and presentations, I have condensed it down to these 5, which I think, and I've been listening to others as well, some experts, psychologists, psychiatrists. I've been reading what they are saying. I have narrowed it down to these 5, which I think are the most critical, the most important for us to develop. And also those who are hurting and suffering, share with them these principles. So let's take a look in a more in-depth way. These 5 principles. Next, please. Number 1, we have to give purpose to our lives, because it's easy to feel lost if your life has no meaning. So purpose must be our anchor. I keep talking about having an anchor, and I'll tell you why in a short while. Passion must be our fuel. How can we live life with passion? Passion, I don't mean full of desire. Passion, I mean, by this word, I mean enthusiasm, energy, involvement in our life, rather than just falling by the wayside and be an observer to what's happening in our lives. No, that's not the way to live life. What we must do is have a purpose that drives us. So, dear Dhamma brothers and sisters, it's the time now to consider, what is the purpose in your life? Why do you live life? Why do you get out of bed every day in the morning? And there are many people who say, I have no purpose in my life. Why should I get out of bed? Why do I go and meet the world? There's nothing for me to really do as my purpose. I only survive. We don't want that. We don't want just to exist or survive. We want to really live deeply and fully, so that at the end of our lives we can say, I've led a really full life. I can't ask for anything more, because my life has been really lived enjoyably and fully. Next slide. Let me tell you about this wonderful man. I use the analogy. We feel lost if there is no purpose. Have you taken a look at people who just wander about from job to job, doing this and doing that? They have no real anchor. They are not tied down to anything. They are like the boat, which I show in this picture. They are hit and buffeted and moved by the waves of life. When the wave comes from the right side, they will go to this side. When the waves come from the left side, they will go to the left side. They have no real purpose because they do not know where they are going. And if you don't know where you are going, it's very easy to get lost. There's no anchor. No tying you down to something that propels you forward, that moves you forward. What is the catalyst that moves you forward? We have to understand this. So let me read from the passage here, and take a look also at the boat that is anchored. Isn't it secure? Isn't it stable and balanced in the way it sits on the water? So psychologists and scientists agree. And I've read many articles on this, that recognizing one's purpose in life makes life more meaningful, as it will be lived with clear direction. So it doesn't mean that we are every moment of the day thinking of our direction, thinking of our purpose. It doesn't mean that. But when we make big decisions, what shall I do? Where shall I go? How shall I resolve certain problems in my life? That's where the purpose comes in. I want to achieve this. So everything that I do has to sit, has to conform with the purpose of my life. Or else I will be floating everywhere. A person will go through immense hardship due to the belief that they will someday achieve their goals. So right now, let me suffer. Let me go through the hard times. Let me go through difficulties, because in my mind, I know that someday in the future, I will arrive. I will get to where I want to be. I will achieve my purpose. Next, please. So, again, I am suffering because my words there, have not met expectations. But anyway, I will try and read it for you. There is this man who has been teaching how to make yourself more resilient. I'm not sure whether he has passed away, but he's written this wonderful book, that I've shown on the right-hand side, the bottom. His name is, it could be he might have passed away, Mr. Viktor Frankl. And he was an Austrian psychologist whose main teaching is that a human being's dominant driving force is to find meaning in life. All of us want to live a life with meaning. We don't just want to, as I said, float here, float there without any meaning. Of course, there are people like that, and they don't have clear directions what they want to achieve. So therefore, their lives, even when they are ready to pass away, has not contributed something to the welfare of themselves and others. Why he says this is, during the Second World War, he was held prisoner in the Nazi concentration camps. Those are terrible places. One of my close friends visited Malaysia, and he visited these concentration camps, and he took pictures. Of course, it's much better than what it was during the Second World War. And so this Viktor Frankl saw family and friends captured and transported to these mass murdering sites where many of them died. The purpose of these concentration camps that were set up by their leader, Adolf Hitler, was to get rid of as many Jewish people in the world as possible. He wanted to wipe out all the Jewish people in the world. He didn't succeed, luckily. Yeah, he only managed to kill 6 million Jews. That's 6 million. Yeah, it's not a small number. 6 million Jewish people, and that's not all the others that died fighting in the war. These are people he put into the concentration camps. 6 million of them died there. So this Viktor Frankl, felt that he was losing everything because being Jewish himself, he was tortured. And so the question is, how did he keep himself alive? What kept him going every day through the years of being in the concentration camp and seeing people that he loved die, not just one by one, but in groups they died. He later revealed that it was purpose. He had a purpose. He wanted to remain alive because of this purpose. He wanted to achieve his purpose. And what was his purpose? He wanted to see his wife and his family again. That kept him going. I will one day see my wife and the members of my family. I must see them again. I cannot die without seeing them. That kept him going. So he found meaning in the struggle, which gave him the resilience to survive through unbelievable pain. This is real pain because people in front of you die. So he was going through a very hard time. And so when the war ended, he wrote this book. He began teaching in the universities and colleges. And this book has become a reference book by psychologists and psychiatrists, because it contains a lot of useful advice and also his ideas on how some people can just go on and why some people just fall apart. When there is little bit of difficulty, they fall apart. So being a lecturer, I was a teacher before I retired. A university, and I also ran a department in the university. I saw that students who loved what they do, no matter how difficult the life was, their purpose was to do what they loved and to graduate. Other than those students who were not sure what they were doing because they didn't have some clear direction. They would be more suffering, although they did the same work, than those who loved what they do. And those who were clear in their direction, they did much better. In fact, they wanted to do better due to the sense of purpose. So this is very important for us to understand, dear Dhamma brothers and sisters. We have to reflect now, what's our purpose? It might not be a religious purpose, but it is at least something that we should be able to live for. And it should be something meaningful. Now, not something selfish. It must be something very, very meaningful and significance to our lives and to the lives of other people as well. So when we have that, suddenly we have strength. Next slide, please. And I'd like to share with you the words of a very famous, next slide, please, of a very famous German philosopher called Friedrich Nietzsche. I don't know whether you heard of him. His writings were very profound. He said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." So why are we living? Why do we go on in our lives? There are those who lose their why. Once they've lost their why, the reason for living, then they commit suicide. Because they cannot imagine why are they living anymore. So this is important for us to understand. We can develop the reason for living. We can take stock. Yeah, we can evaluate all the things around us that are important to us, and then it will appear in front of us, the reason why we are living. Next, please. The next suggestion I have is accept the constant change. Impermanence, the Buddha said, anicca, is the true characteristic of life. We are changing, so therefore, by we I mean our bodies are changing, our mind is changing, things around us, although they look solid, they are changing. So therefore, the circumstances of our life also change. We are changing, getting older slowly, but definitely there is a change. So what do I mean by the change around us? Sometimes we will live through very happy times, and we will also encounter the hard times. We have to open our hearts and accept it. We cannot fight it. We cannot say, why is it like this? Why can't it be good all the time? But it cannot be good all the time. That is not the nature of life. The life that we have been born into has these three characteristics. The characteristics of constant change. The characteristics of being suffering. Giving to us the experience of suffering. It is anicca, it is dukkha, and the last one is a little bit hard to understand, anatta. There is no constant personality. So these are the three characteristics taught by the Buddha. So accepting this truth, it is the truth. It's the truth of change, that we do not like. But there is change that we also like, but we don't call it change. We call it success or development, or achievement. Accepting this truth puts us in a very stable frame of mind. So the wise person is not that who wants to change things all the time, but the wise person is he or she, who can accept, open the heart to the nature of change. Next, please. So, 8 winds blow in the world. It's blowing in the world. So I show this picture of the coconut trees, and the leaves being blown. The world is subject to 8 winds. 8 of these winds. We call them the worldly winds, in the Buddha's teachings. So the wise people are those that are ready for any change in the direction of the wind. And sometimes when we see an old friend that we don't expect to see, we say, hey, what wind blew you here? Why have you suddenly come here? What is the wind that blew you? So next, please. And the winds are, as shown by the Buddha, the worldly winds are gain and loss. So we gain things and we lose things. We experience honor and disgrace. We get praise and we get blame. We have pleasure or happiness and we have suffering or pain. These 8 winds are constantly blowing in the world. And sometimes it blows at us, whether we like it or not. So we must brace ourselves. Get ready. Even though we are in this country that is relatively comfortable, we can be, things can change as well. This is the nature of life. It's changeable, impermanent, insecure. That is how the world is made up. Next, please. So, what about the positive effects of change? So in the words of Achan Thanisaro, wise teacher, he says, insight into change teaches us hope. Because change is built into the nature of things, nothing is inherently fixed, not even our own identity. We can change who we are. No matter how bad the situation, anything is possible. Which means to say, let us look at it more positively. We can change for the better. We can do whatever we want to do, create whatever world we want to live in, and become whatever we want to be due to this ability to change. And by that, I mean change from difficult or unpleasant to that which is pleasant and more easy to accept. So change is what gave us a fully enlightened Buddha 2,600 years ago. He underwent change for eons, for world cycles, for the existence of a universe, the lifespan of a universe. Come and go, come and go. He changed. He didn't remain the same. He evolved, he developed until he was able to attain the enlightenment that gave him the full wisdom to understand the nature of the world. So you can see that change happening. And for us, you can take it either positively or negatively. We should choose to take it positively, that things will change for the better. And even if the outside world doesn't change, let the inner world change, the inner understanding, let it change. So that although the outside there's a storm, inside there is a cool existence in us. Next, please. And this is also very important. We should settle securely in the present moment. Being in the here and now gives us true security. Being in the present moment, mindfully be in the present moment, is the true security of our lives. We try to find security here and there. So we put our security expectations onto things that are not secure. For example, when we get married, we put our security expectations on our wife or on our husband. So we say, you must make my life more secure. And that person is not secure, himself or herself. So how to provide security for you? If I am not secure, how can I give you security? So here is where we learn to see where is it or what is it that is really the anchor to our life. So the present moment connects us to the reality of life. It is the anchor to our existence. We really sometimes, or very, very often, we really do not know how we are living our lives. Let me ask you, dear brothers and sisters, when you brush your teeth in the morning, every morning you brush your teeth, where do you start brushing your teeth? Here, 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 or front, or right at the back? Are you aware of how you are brushing your teeth? Are you mindful of how you do it? And when you came into the house the last time, where did you put your shoes? Do you remember where you put your shoes? Maybe you have a shoe cupboard, so therefore your shoes are there. But as we go to the temple, to the Buddhist center, we take off our shoes. Where did I put my shoes? Sometimes we don't remember. We are not creatures or beings that are constantly present. We are not present in our lives. By that I mean our mind, our body is present, but our mind is absent. We are somewhere else. So there is no meeting, there is no comfort of body and mind existing together. So therefore, we have instability. Our minds are not secure. Our minds are not stable and strong. So therefore, let us look at this practice. Next slide, please. So it's been shown that the wandering mind is not a happy mind. Yeah, and this is has been shown through the research of these Harvard researchers. They found that almost half of our waking life, in fact, I think it is half, more than half of our waking life, we are daydreaming. We are imagining things. Our mind is wandering. So therefore, this is the reason why many people experience deep unhappiness. Next slide, please. So what do? We come back. There's an animation to the words. Yeah. So this very wise Zen teacher, Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, says, life can be found only in the present moment. That's the reality. The past is gone, but we live in the past very often. The future is not yet here, and we are always planning. And if we do not go back to ourselves in the present moment, we cannot be in touch with life. This is what Venerable Master says. And he teaches mindfulness to very many people. He lives right now he is in Vietnam, but he had to get away from the country when the Vietnam fell to the present regime. They didn't like him because he was an activist. He spoke for freedom. But recently, he was allowed to go back to Vietnam. And he is very frail at the moment, but he is very happy to be also back in his home country. So this is what he teaches. He's been telling everyone, even celebrities like Oprah Winfrey. You can go and search for Oprah Winfrey's interview of Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh and how she learned so much from Venerable Master. So I am not as good in explaining mindfulness. Let me run for you a quick video. Yes, how we can be free of the past and the future. So can we play the video, please? So please listen carefully to Venerable Master. Oh, the sound? Are we getting the sound?
Mind might be caught in the past.
Oh, can we start from the beginning?
Drown into our regret in our daily life. Very often, our mind is not with our body. Our mind might be caught in the past. We are drowned into our regret, our sorrow concerning the past. The past becomes a prison for you. You cannot get out. Many of us are not free from the past. We are caught by our regret and sorrow. We are not able to live our life because we are in prison. So breathing in mindfully might pull us out of the past so that we can be free to be with our body. Because when mind and body are together, you can be established in the present moment. If mind and body are not together, you are not in the present moment, in the here and the now. And life, real life, is available only in the present moment. because the past is no longer there and the future is not yet there. Life and all the wonders of life can be found only in the present moment. So one mindful in-breath may be enough to pull you out of the prison of the past. Bring your mind back to your body so that you can come home to the here and the now, where life is available. And you can touch the blue sky, touch the rain, touch the cloud, touch the trees, touch the songs of the bird. And the first thing you touch is your body. And the third exercise of mindful breathing proposed by the Buddha is breathing in. I'm aware of my body, of the existence of my body. It's so simple, and you don't have to strive, to fight in order to do so. And it can be very pleasant too, because breathing in can be very pleasant. When you do not have asthma, when your nose is not stuffed, and then breathing in the fresh air can be very pleasant. Breathing in, I enjoy breathing in. And breathing in, I'm aware that I have a body. So that is not hard work. And then many of us, if we are not caught in the prison of the past, and then we are caught in the prison of the future. Many of us worry about the future. We don't know what will happen to our future. So we spend our time to worry about the future. And there is fear about the future. There is anxiety, uncertainty about the future. This kind of negative energy are not nourishing and healing. And most of us sacrifice the present moment for the sake of the future. Many of us are good to prepare for the future, but are not good to live the present moment. We can prepare for the future, but we are not capable of enjoying the present moment. And you are caught in the fear.
Yes, let us come back. So, can you hear me? Yes. So let us live mindfully, staying in the moment, mindful sitting, mindfully eating, mindfully walking. We can also have mindful working. Yeah. So what Venerable Master said is so meaningful. When we are too much in the past, we have remorse, we have regret, we have sadness. When we are too much in the future, we have worry and anxiety. It doesn't mean that we should not plan for the future, nor remember the past, but also give equal significance and importance to the present moment. This is what Venerable Master is saying. So therefore, find time during the day to be really, really present by mindful sitting, mindful eating, mindful walking, and if possible, mindful working as well. It will make a great change, to our lives, to be in the present moment. And that's how we can see our minds being pulled out of the present moment with too much anxiety. So this talk about anxiety, this talk about worry is because of things that might happen to us. They are in the future. It hasn't happened yet. And even if it happens, it's happening to us, we should take a break from it. And when we take a break from it, right, to be in the present moment, when we come back to the problem that we are facing, we have more energy and more ideas to solve that problem. If we stay with the problem constantly, it drains our energy. So therefore, we are not sure how we can solve it. But if we go back to the present moment, mind and body together in harmony, as a Venerable Master said, breathing is very pleasant. There are a few thousand people in the hospital at this moment where breathing is very difficult. They cannot breathe properly. So if we are free to breathe, let us enjoy our breathing. Let us breathe in knowingly with awareness. Breathe in and breathe out. When you are breathing in, know that you are breathing in. When you are breathing out, know that you are breathing out. Breathe in, breathe out. So every mindful moment means that you are free of the past and the future. Then, when you are refreshed, when you are calm and balanced, you can go back to meeting your problems. This is very, very important. You cannot overcome your problems if you are still caught by anxiety and worry. Next, please. So now let us also view the world in a different way. We reframe. It means that we reframe how we are looking at the world. If we are very stressed and if we are full of anxiety, we see it from another angle, this life that we are living. We say, I might not have all that I want, but I'm fortunate to have what I need. So wanting and needing are different things. You cannot have everything that you want. Some people work to have everything that they want. And then they find that there are things that they need which they don't have. So there is always something to be grateful for, and compassion. Compassion and gratitude, they are very, very close relatives, cousins of each other. Completes the process. Next, please. So in the words of Venerable Achan Sumedo, Venerable Achan Sumedo is the senior disciple of the late Achan Cha, very famous Thai meditation master. So Venerable Achan said, gratitude is a positive response to life. In developing, the Pali word for gratitude is kattanyu. We deliberately bring into our consciousness the good things done to us in life. When we are stressed, we forget how to be grateful. We forget how good our life actually is. We only get sucked in to the future where the problem is lying. We also get sucked in to the past, which has remorse and regret. That's very unwholesome. Takes away our energy. So gratitude actually is a positive mental quality where we think about all the good things that we have. So reflecting on the good things, you are whole. You have made this to this point in life. You have made it to right now. You didn't die before it. I've had classmates, people I went to school with, die. And I tell them before I retire, after I retire, I will come and spend more time with you, and then we can go to the coffee shop and have chit chat. There's one friend we used to have ice kacang together in Penang. So I told him, when I retire, I'll pay more visits to Penang, and then we can chit chat and have ice kacang. Before I retired, he passed away. So therefore, you don't even have that time, with the people that you love and want to have time with. So what I'm saying is, we must be grateful. We have made it to this present moment without any affliction, there's always challenges in life, but we haven't had the life-threatening diseases. So if we are wise, we keep away from the danger zones of this pandemic. And we try our best to get the vaccinations, etc., that has been advised by the authorities. And hopefully we will still go on for at least a few more years. That is reason to be grateful. Don't forget about the good things. Because when we are in trouble, we only think about the bad things. The good things in our lives give us strength. Next, please. And I will share with you something from His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. He says, in a recent Time magazine article, prayer alone is not enough. He says, even if you do praying every day, it's not enough. The Dalai Lama on why we need to fight coronavirus with compassion. So he says, we need to have the mind state of compassion. Compassion towards ourselves. Be kind to ourselves and be kind to others as well. So bring these states into the mind and see how it changes the way we look at life. There's wisdom, so much wisdom from His Holiness. Next, please. Right. And the last of these 5 is, let's fall back on ourselves. I've seen those, have you seen what they do, at this rock concerts, music concerts? They just stand up and then they fall back, and then the people on the ground catch them. There's a lot of trust in that. We must have that kind of trust by falling back on ourselves. That means we must have faith in our own strengths and abilities. Look at ourselves. We have a lot of things that we can do. Don't lose out. Don't forget about those things. Even if people can't see it, we have a shining light which can brighten up our whole life with it. Next, please. So there's this dramatic picture I've chosen. The most resilient people are optimists, it says here, who don't stay on the negative. They always think, what's good? That's next. What's the next good thing that's coming? Who also look for opportunities even in the darkest times. For example, during the quarantine or the lockdown, he or she might decide it's a good time to start my meditation practice because you cannot go to work. So meditate at home or take an online course or learn to play some musical instrument. Don't look at it as I cannot go out. You can go out to buy things, but don't look at it as a confinement. Look at it as an opportunity. So for myself, in certain ways, I know it's not right to say, but during this lockdown, I feel myself lighter and happier because I meditate more. I mean, I do a lot of work, still for my teachers and my friends, and also to prepare talks, and I also take up classes. So I find that there's a lot of things to do during the lockdown. Also, here it says, resilient people have a solid sense on what they consider right and wrong. What is right in this world and what is wrong in this world guides their decision. They have a belief in something greater than themselves. It could be also spirituality and religion. Because those people who are religious, who see something that there is very great, they are able to hang on in spite of the hard times. So they also have community. This is why I stress community. The community support that comes from being part of a religion also supports your resilience. When you are in trouble, reach out. Don't go this journey alone. There are people that can help you. So they have social support system, that they support, and the system supports them back. So you support each other. And I'm very glad to see a lot of things happening in the news. That people are supporting each other. Such a beautiful thing to see. And the people who support others, they feel very worthwhile. There's meaning in their life. There's purpose. There's objectives. So that's how they find, something useful to do during the hard times. So always keep the light of your inner lamp burning. Have confidence. And I end with this slide, this last slide. Next, please. This is what the Buddha said in his last teaching, the Mahaparinibbana Sutta. The Buddha said, "Be ye islands unto yourselves." You must be responsible for what happens to you. Don't wait for something to fall down, from the clouds. Be ye a refuge unto yourselves. Take no other refuge. If you want, take the Dhamma as your refuge. The Dhamma be your island. The Dhamma be your refuge. Dhamma and us. Take the teachings, but we must practice the teachings. Because even if you read the teachings, read the books, every day read, but you don't practice, nothing will happen. So you must be proactive and make sure that you practice so that good things can happen. Just by reading and chanting and reciting, just as the Dalai Lama said, prayers alone is not good enough. It won't really help you a lot. Do it on your own. So late Chief Reverend Venerable Kesari Dhammananda said, it's like when we keep on reading, it is like when we are sick, we go to the doctor and the doctor gives us the pills. And every day we take out the pills packet, the plastic packet, and we read out, this is paracetamol. It is from Dr. Lee something, from the Lee Clinic. And I must take it 1 pill 3 times a day. Yeah, and with after meals, yeah, with warm water, etc. And then after that, we keep the pill packet. Is anything going to happen? No, because we didn't open the packet and take the pill out and eat it. We just read, this is from here, this is from there, this doctor eat 3 times a day. We are chanting. It's not to say chanting is no good, but you have to practice. What is the practice? Take the pill out and eat it. That is the true medicine, the medicine of practice. We need to put it into action. That's where we save ourselves. That's where we make ourselves more resilient, more positive, and more wholesome. Next, please. So with this, I'd like to end this morning's sharing. Thank you very much, for your kind attention. Here is a calligraphy by Venerable Master Thich Nhat Hanh. He says, enjoy the present moment. So with this, may I make the wish that we live deeply and be well and happy, and that all beings be free from suffering. Thank you very much. Sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, and sadhu, Brother Sanchai, for the very insightful and inspirational Dhamma talk that can enable us to cope better in our life when facing with various adversity, by having a purpose and also a passion in our life, but at the same time to live our life mindfully. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, we shall now proceed with the Q&A. If you have any questions, you may type the questions in the comment box. Is there any questions? Brother Sangchai, should a lay Buddhist have spiritual goal, and how important is it?
Yes. I think every Buddhist, because you consider yourself a Buddhist, you must have a spiritual goal. There was a recent survey, and I think I believe I shared it before. It was a survey on how much do the various religious groups in Malaysia, how often do they activate or put into action some religious activity. That means for every religion, the 4 big religions in Malaysia, how often do the followers carry out a religious activity? And the most dedicated people are the Hindus. They will carry out a religious activity at least once a day. Once a day. They will at least, if not twice a day. They will have something before breakfast. They will do some prayers, do some offering before breakfast, and then they will have their breakfast. And then sometimes during the evening or end of the day, they will have another religious practice. Then the Muslims, they will pray, very often. Then comes the Christians, and the last one on the list, way down at the bottom, are the Buddhists. And there are some Buddhists, who only make prayers once a year during Wesak Day. Sometimes during Katina, twice a year, Wesak Day and Katina. So that means that we Buddhists are very laissez-faire. That means very take it and or leave it, which is not right, and that is why we do not have anything to fall back on readily. We do not immediately think of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, and how we can get strength from the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha easily. We will have to go and look for a monk, go and look for, all kinds of things. Then only Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha mean something to us. So we should have spiritual goals. And the spiritual goal must involve some kind of practice. You can have the goal, but if you don't do anything now, today, that goal is always in the future and cannot be achieved. Is a goal, right? I mean, we have many goals, in our life, and one of the goals is to graduate from university. Okay, we want to graduate from university. If you don't do the work today, when the exams come, you will fail and you will never graduate. Therefore, you can have the goal, but you must work towards it now. In the present moment, whatever people tell you to do, meaning your lecturers, your teachers, say, do this assignment, you must do the assignment. Don't just think, your assignments are not important, I don't want to do. Then after that, go to the exam, no understanding, fail. You will never graduate in 10 years or whatever. You will never graduate at all if you don't do the work now. So therefore, if we have spiritual goals as Buddhists, we must reflect on the Buddha's teachings as often as possible. Yesterday was a new moon day. It was a very good day for us to do some chanting, do some reading, do some meditation. At least our minds are near to the wholesome state. Our minds go back to a wholesome state. We think about Buddha, we think about Dhamma, we think about Sangha, and how our lives can come closer to what the Buddha wanted for us. So in this way, we are working towards a goal. Different Buddhists might have different goals, but if we are real Buddhists, our goal should be to free ourselves from suffering. That should be the main goal. I might not do it in now. You might do it in a few years' time, or whenever you can spare the time. But you must not lose sight of your goal. Never think it's too hard, it's too difficult, no good teachers, too hot, too cold, lockdown, cannot travel anywhere. If you keep thinking like this, you will never achieve your goal. So if you cannot go out, do it inside. Keep on with your practice, your study, your understanding. Keep in touch with your Buddhist friends through the online media, and keep discussing with them as much as possible. So spiritual goals, as I said, goals are always in the future, but you must not stop working now. Right? It's very important. Without goals, we are floating. And at the end of our life, we will be thinking, I lived for 70 years, maybe 80 years. Some people are very lucky, live 90 years. What did I achieve spiritually? Some people don't know. And then when it's time for them to die, they become fearful, scared to die. They have no confidence in themselves. They have no confidence in the good that they have done. They have no confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. So they will die in a very, very bewildered, confused state of mind, which is not good.
Sadhu. Brother Sangha, you just reminded me our neighboring temple, Hindu temple. In Subang Jaya, Buddhists are so many. We are much more than the Hindu. But every morning you can see so many Hindus in our neighboring Hindu temple, doing the prayer, and then you can see how what you call the diligent they are in this stage. So and there's something Buddhists have to be catching up to be more diligent in the cultivation. Even if not in the temple, you should be at your home.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Yes.
Okay, we go for the next question. Q2 question. This question from KCBA. It says, Brother Tan, from Buddhist view, is it better for Victor Frankie not wanting to see his wife and children in case he couldn't survive? Should he meditate instead of expecting to survive?
Well, if he was a Buddhist, then he should just meditate and let go. Right. You must have the wisdom. If you have the wisdom to see that, then you are already somewhere in your practice. But the ordinary people still have their attachments and reason to live. Why we learn so much from Viktor Frankl is this sense of purpose. And even if you don't have a spiritual purpose, and if it is, of course, an ordinary layman purpose, like our own selfish desires to want to see wife, want to see children, it is still a purpose. Because he saw many others just dying like that. After torture, they didn't want to live. They gave up on their life. So you can see it in many different ways. If you want to give up, you can give up. If you want to give up, you just let go, right? That means that you must be able to have the wisdom to understand the nature of your life. Understand that life is anicca, dukkha, anatta. When you are at least sotapanna, then you can let go. It's fine, because this person is already Arya, can let go. Or even if it is not sotapanna, not enlightened, first stage, at least there must be deep wisdom. And you have deep wisdom, then you can let go. But if there is still a spiritual goal, for example, this great monk, Xuanzang, who traveled thousands of miles from China to India, across the Gobi Desert. There's another desert also, Taklamakan. I think he went through the Gobi Desert. No person can go through that desert alone if he didn't have a goal. His goal was to reach India, the land of the Buddha's teachings, and to bring it back to China, where people were totally confused about the Buddha's teachings. He wanted to bring stability to the study and the practice of the Buddha Dhamma. So with that goal, he traveled thousands of kilometers through the jungle, through the desert, through the forest, through the bandits, the killers, the murderers, and the unfriendly government officials. He traveled until he reached Nalanda in India. So you can tell me, he was caught a few times. They wanted to murder him, but he never gave up. So his plan was, I must get to India. I must get to see and bring back the Buddha's teachings. So if your goal is so worthwhile, you cannot give up on it. So for Viktor Frankl, he kept on because there was a great longing in him. Of course, you can say it's craving, it's desire and all that, but it was very strong. It was a human purpose, a human strength, which kept him going. And others had given up. You torture them. How many children, how many wives and husbands? They said, I cannot take it anymore. I give up. But those who had purpose, it might not just be husband or wife or children. Maybe they had something else to do that was very important to them. Like, for example, I also studied, I went to read about people on the death railway in Burma during the Second World War. Have you heard about the death railway? Where the Japanese built a railway from Thailand right across to Burma to bring in the supplies. I had an ex-boss, one of my ex-bosses. He worked on that railway in the border of Thailand and Burma. He said his friends, his childhood friend, taken by the Japanese to work, also died. And he brought back the ashes of his friend to the family, yeah, because he survived the death railway, yeah, made famous by this film, Bridge on the River Kwai. So he was very strong. He lived through it because he wanted to go back. My ex-boss, he wanted to go back to his family. Yeah. Whereas others just simply said, I cannot take it anymore. Just let me die. So that's what my boss always said. He was very happy that he took back the ashes of his friend, went back to the family house and gave the ashes back to the family. That he was still alive to be able to do that. So we have different purposes, and I'm not about to judge. I can't judge. But some people, if you think that after you die here, you can go to a good place, then you can let go. But don't die giving up. To me, to give up and die is the worst way to go. I would not be proud of myself. Yeah, if somebody torture me and I said, okay, I want to die, please die. I die already. I stop this torture. That is not something which will make me proud of myself.
Yeah, that's
so interesting answer. Question.
Yeah, very amazing answer to a very tough question, Brother Sangchai. Yeah,
thank you.
Due to time constraint, we should have only one more last question. But because the question after is a very good question, so we allow 2 more questions, Brother Sangchai. All right. Well, next is from Sister J. Practicing compassion encompasses helping humans in need, being charitable, showing kindness to living beings, including oneself. Is there any other way to practice compassion?
Yes. You must practice compassion by bringing it up as a mind state. Compassion, surprising to some people, is happiness. It's a happy state of mind. And some people think, how can you be happy when others are suffering? Compassion is loving kindness shown towards the suffering. Loving kindness is a happy state. And when you develop loving kindness, you can go into jhana. And one of the requirements of the jhana is happiness. The sad people cannot attain jhana. They can try, but because they are so sad, they will never attain this higher mental development. So compassion is the brother or sister to loving kindness. You must not fall into sorrow, which is the enemy of compassion. But some people, they fall into the sorrowful state. When they fall into the sorrowful state, they feel very sad. When they feel very sad, they start crying. Whenever they see suffering people, tears will come to their eyes, and then nothing gets done. No useful action, no useful result. What is compassion? Compassion is the ability to understand suffering, to see what suffering is with wisdom, and therefore being able to see that there is happiness. Then the person using this energy goes out and help others, relieve their suffering. They don't start crying and breaking down and fall to pieces. Nothing good comes out of that. So make sure that you develop the compassion as a mind state, the same way as you develop loving kindness. So there is a recital, there is a training for compassion. And when you see the world through your compassionate eyes, compassion will grow in your heart and in your mind. And then you will go out to help others. You might even walk across a desert on your own due to that compassion, because it drives you forward. There is happiness that you can do something, that you can see the nature of existence. Sorrowful people, when they start crying and all that, they have no wisdom. They cannot see the real nature of the world. It might be surprising to many, yeah, but those people cannot help others. The compassionate people who are happy because they understand suffering, they are the useful people. So you can develop it as a mind state the same way that you develop loving kindness. Do you know how to develop loving kindness? Yeah, do it too in the same way as compassion. So there are teachers who will teach you compassion. One such teacher is Venerable Gavesi, yeah, in Penang. You might want to write to him for the full format, the full description, yeah, of this practice. But it is very similar to the development of metta, loving kindness. You know, may all beings be well and happy. So you just think, may all beings be free from suffering, yeah, etc., etc. Yeah, I don't do it very often, so I can't really lead you on compassion, but I can lead you on the loving kindness, which I do quite often. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. We really learned a lot from you this morning, Brother Chang Chai. And now we come to the last question. The last question from Sister Choi B. Can you share the difference between letting go and giving up?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. Yes, not easy to understand. Yeah, but you need to develop wisdom to understand it, because some people think letting go is giving up. Is not true. You know, they think that the monks and nuns who let go take on the yellow robe because they have disappointment in their life. Maybe the wife or husband or girlfriend, boyfriend left them. So because of their great disappointment, they become monk, they become nun. Yeah. So this is the reason why people become monks and nuns. Very, very wrong. So wrong. People become monks and nuns because they let go due to wisdom. When they can see the nature of life, when they can see life is anicca, changeable, impermanent, insecure, unsatisfactory, they let go to look for a more stable, a more secure kind of happiness. The happiness that you get from outside things, yeah, they are not really secure happiness. Yeah, they are happiness of sensual pleasure. We become happy due to sensual pleasure. This is the normal nature. Every person who has not understood with wisdom the nature of life, they will find happiness in sensual pleasure. The more they eat, the more they drink, the more they see, the more they own, yeah, the more they possess, that essential pleasure gives them happiness. Then after some years, they find that this is not good enough happiness, right? And then they try and look for another type of happiness in the same way, and they can't find it. So that is the reason for great number of suicides. You know, in China now, there's great number of they suddenly become rich and they think that becoming rich is happy, brings happiness. Then after a while, I got so much money, I got so much possessions, still I'm not happy. So they don't know their way out of it. Another happiness is the happiness of letting go. Suicide is the happiness, not happiness, is the result of giving up. Give up, you commit suicide. Renouncing, yeah, is the letting go is the result of renunciation. We also renounce. Today, many people have renounced 2 hours or 1.5 hours, renounce your enjoyment to come here for 2 hours to listen to somebody talking about Dhamma, not half-baked one, yeah, not a fully baked teacher, right? But you are happy to do it. So you understand renunciation. It is not the renunciation of shave your hair, wear the orange robes. Because as you know, those who shave the hair and wear the orange robes sometimes have not renounced. So therefore, we can make the renunciation by letting go the enjoyment of eating something, seeing something, hearing something through our senses. Let go, come and listen. And I'm hoping that after you have listened, you will let go the things that are unwholesome. Because through that, your happiness will grow. Where does that happiness come from? Is it from shopping? From buying things? No, it is from understanding and letting go. So there is the difference between letting go and giving up. This is the happiness that those people who let go everything and stay in the cave and in the jungle, especially Westerners. Why do these Westerners want to go and stay in the jungle? There's no pub, there's no football games, there's no cinema, no online, no computer, internet. But they go and stay in the jungle and in the caves of Thailand, Sri Lanka, Burma. Something must be rewarding them. So what is rewarding them? Yeah, the happiness of letting go. There is a deep happiness which results in samadhi, peace of mind, deep peace that we cannot understand in the cities and the towns. So they go and practice and they attain, a very, very deep happiness which will sustain them through all kinds of problems. So this is the difference between letting go and giving up. I hope you can understand that.
Yeah, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, and sadhu to Brother Sangchai. Thank you so much for the very interesting, very inspirational, very insightful Dhamma talk this morning, and also the profound and enlightening answers to our questions. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yes, thank you very much to our speaker, Brother Tan Sangchai, for this Dhamma sharing, living deeply through adversity. It is definitely very inspiring and very informative Dhamma sharing, and especially with the answers to those questions. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, this morning, many of us here have participated in the Sunday Buddha Puja service and listening to this wonderful Dhamma sharing and a very interesting Q&A session. With the merits accrued, let us share in transferring the merits to all living and departed relatives, families and friends and all beings. Let us also share merits to those who have fallen ill due to the COVID-19. May they have a speedy recovery. To the frontliners, example, the doctors and nurses at the hospitals. To those who are seeking treatment at the hospital, may they be free from harm and danger. Transference of merits. Akasata cha bummata devanaga mahidika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakantu lokasasanang chirang rakantu desanang chirang rakantu mang parang ettavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva sabbe satta sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Idang me nyadinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyadinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyadinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Imam no punya bagang mata pitunancha acharya nancha sabba satanancha sabamita nancha sabanyata nancha sabaveda nancha sabadevata nancha bhajema. Imang no punya bagang sabba satanang dema sabbe sata sukita hontu. Imina punya kamena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu. Yava nibbanaspatiyam. Idang me punyang asavakaya vahang hotu. Idang me punyang nibbanasa pacayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Brothers and sisters in the Dhamma, before we end, let us pay homage to the Triple Gem. Buddhang pujemi, Dhammang pujemi, Sanghang pujemi. To all devotees, thank you very much for participating and giving us likes, love, and the responses in the comments box. Thank you very much. And please help me to thank the speaker, Brother Tan Sang Chai. And we have come to an end to this 52nd online Sunday Buddha Puja service. We will continue with the Sunday Buddha Puja service next week, 18th of July. You may consider to watch it together with your family. Send them the link. Please refer to the Subang Jaya Buddhist Association Facebook or your society's Facebook for the information. With the COVID-19 pandemic, we hope you will continue to stay safe, stay home. May you and family be safe, well, happy, and peaceful always. Sukhi Hontu. Goodbye. Sabbe Sata Sukita Hontu.
Bahong sahan semabhinim mita sayodantang ngirimi kelang udita Sasena marang dana di dhamma vidina jita